Call to order the Rutherford County Board of Education special called meeting, January 22nd. We will have the Pledge of Allegiance. Ms. Rosales.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll now have a moment of silence. Thank you. We are now ready for number 4, and I will turn the meeting over to Dr. Sullivan.
All right, thank you. So first we have a request for Batty Elementary bid. So number 1 and number 2 kind of go together, but 1 is just accepting the bid and the cost, and 2 is the actual financing. So request for Batty Elementary bid on Thursday, January 18th, 2024, purchasing and engineering construction received bids for the construction of the Batty property and elementary schools. All bids have been reviewed, and engineering construction recommends R.G. Anderson Company base bid of $48,417,000. Total project cost of $59,857,000. RCS recommends motion to approve the bid and related cost as outlined below. The breakdown: construction $48,417,000. Construction-related costs, $2 million. Fixtures, furniture, and equipment, $4 million. Design, $900,000. And then we've already previously funded from 189, $900,000. And then we've already previously funded from 141, $3,640,000. But that brings the total request to $59,857,000. Motion to approve the R.G. Anderson base bid and associated cost as presented, and you all have a bid sheet as well. We actually had 5 people submit bids, and we're very appreciative. As we hope to have more projects coming, we want to have more interest. So this was great to see.
Questions or comments?
Ms. Martin?
Ms. Rosales.
Dr. Sullivan, I know part of this cost when we last met last Thursday, you had mentioned that some of this cost may be, we will be upfronting out of the $48 million. How much is it besides what we've already upfronted? Because the $900,000 and $3 million, that was the cost of the land.
That's going to be below.
I'm sorry?
It's the very next one.
Is it very?
So $30 million is going to be my proposal, which
Okay,
is the
so
very next one.
was going to go to the bond, right?
No, the total one, and I'm just going to skip around since there was a question. We're going to ask for $25,317,000 from the county commission, but that'll be in the next motion.
Okay. All right, perfect. Thank you.
Any more questions? I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve. Second.
All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Anyone wishing to abstain? The motion passes to approve R.G. Anderson.
All right, thank you. So the next one gets down to the actual funding. Again, on Thursday, January 18th, purchasing and engineering construction received bids for the construction of the Batty property elementary school. All bids have been reviewed. Engineering construction recommended R.G. Anderson, was just approved. A previous approval for allocation of funds of $4,540,000 for architect fee and site development reduces the total amount of this project to $55,317,000 yet to be funded. The Board of Education recommends $30 million to be allocated to Batty Elementary project from Fund 141 unassigned fund balance. This reduces the total project amount to $25,317,000, which will be requested from the County Commission via a bond issuance. So you'll see the next recommended motion to approve the request to decrease Fund 141-3900 unassigned 39000 unassigned fund balance and increase Fund 141-99-100-590 transfer to other funds in the amount of $30 million to fund a portion of the Batty Elementary project and to request funding of $25,317,000 from the County Commission. And just to kind of go over a little bit of that, I want to appreciate the board and appreciate our staff. I think it's pretty unheard of to look at, if you add that together, we are basically paying $5 million for Batty Elementary ourselves. And so I don't think that can be overlooked. That is a huge amount. If you add the 4 million we've already spent and 30 million, that is a huge task we've been able to accomplish by being good stewards of money. The second part of that, though, is that is the last real straw we have to pull as a school system. We have moved 10 cents last year off our property tax to pay for debt. We moved another cent off of our Fund 177. The actual budget number that you'll see as part of this tab shows, can you go to the tab real quick? Shows we are taking our fund balance from 110 million to roughly 80, if I recall correctly. Yes, we are right now at 110.9 million, and removing 30 million, we'll be at 80.9. And so that roughly is about 14%. State law, we only have to be at 3%, but we try to operate somewhere at 15. We're running pretty well for this year's budget as well, and so we feel confident we can get back to 15%. But we don't really have that option to be able to do anything else after this. The other part of that is I met with County Finance Director because we have some other projects. The 30 million was not my initial proposal. When we met, my initial proposal was for the school system to do 21 million out of fund balance, and then for us to take care of some of the other projects that you see listed we're going to talk about next, such as 814 South Church Street, architecture fees, and then the Roy Waldron Annex. So we were looking at doing about 21 million ourselves and then using that other 7.5 to 8 million out of fund balance to be able to fund. In talking with them, it became apparent it was best for us to try to use as much of our own money as possible because it is not shared money for us to use our money. It's already been shared. So you'll see the rest of these requests in Fund 189. So I'm hoping and I'm hopeful, and I'll mention that to the County Commission, that this is not just a we need Batty and not the other projects. These other projects are not new. They're ones the boards have talked about, 814 South Church Street, for over a year now. These are projects we need to get done, and this is trying to be the best stewards of the money as possible. So I do want to just call that out, that this is us trying to do what's best and move the money around the way that we have been requested to. But this is not a just we want Batty and not the others. We expect all of these. That's all I've got.
Questions or comments? Mr. Tidwell?
I mean, I think if we're moving the funds around we're trying to help out the county as best possible. We've done a great job, I think, so far with the budget process. If we're moving these funds around, I don't want to see these other items disappear. So if we're eating up this extra cost of, I mean, I think you mentioned was it 21 or 22 million?
21 was my initial proposal on Friday when I met with Finance Director.
So we're basically giving another $9 million at the behest that we would hope that the County Commission will still be able to fund these other projects which have to go through. I mean, the other projects being Holloway's high school virtual school bid, South Church Street renovation, and then you got the Laverne High School, which has obviously been a point of high capacity up there that needs to be fixed as well. So it is my hope that if this gets approved tonight, that would be, from the board's perspective, I would love to hear any, if anybody had any disagreement on that, but if we're not, if we're all together, that we could make sure that that is, the County Commission's held to the fire on that. So if we're giving this extra $9 million, more than what we have to do, more than what we originally voted to do, that these projects are still coming down the line and in a timely manner.
Ms. Bratton? And something else I want to call on these other projects, so Holloway, Laverne High, South Church Street, and Roy Waldron, we're not going to be asking the County Commission for any more money. We're asking to use the funds that are already allocated in 189. And so there is no extra funding. We would just hope in the benefit of being transparent and operating cooperative relationship that we're able to use the money that's been previously allocated. You'll see some of those are from savings from other projects. So we're trying to take care of things ourselves, but I 100% agree with you, Mr. Tidwell.
Madam Chair.
Yes, ma'am.
I just also want to bring to the board's attention, in case you were unaware, this also removed Transition Academy for right now. So we're having to put that on hold by switching around the funds as well. But I'm in 100% agreement with Mr. Tidwell that the caveat is that we're still able to do these other projects.
It's still coming, Claire. Transition Academy is still there.
I know. Madam Chairman, I agree with Mr. Tidwell. We need to unite as a board and make sure that these other projects get done and be as forceful and kind as we can with our county commission, but let them know that we believe in these other projects and we're not putting them off in order to get the Beatty done. It's Beatty and these projects.
Ms. Sharp?
I agree. It's over.
Anyone else?
Ms. Sharp, I have a couple questions. The Holloway project, how many new classroom space are we adding to that for the virtual school?
I'd recommend we get there once we get to that motion, after this one's taken care of.
Oh, okay, I thought this was all part of it.
No, they're each separate.
just-
No, they're separate.
Yeah, I just
Okay.
wanted to talk about all of them
We started
together.
talking about all these other
No,
projects.
you're good, you're good.
Okay, well, my bad.
Running them all together, aren't we?
Gotcha.
Okay, we're just talking about the budget amendments for the Beatty property right now, which is number 2. You want to read the motion again?
Yeah. Recommended motion to approve the request to decrease Fund 141-39-000 unassigned fund balance and increase Fund 141-99-100, 590 transfer to other funds in the amount of $30 million to fund a portion of the Batty Elementary project, and to request funding of $25,317,000 from the County Commission.
Any other questions or comments?
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir?
ending fund balance, what are we projecting will be? I know we're saying 80 million now, but what are we?
Depending on the way pipes have bust the last 12 hours, I'm not sure, but realistically, we hope to be somewhere between 85, 86. If everything holds the way we need it to hold. Do you agree, Mr. Rooney? Yeah.
Anyone else? I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Second?
All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. Anyone wishing to abstain? The motion passes. Number 5, Holloway High.
All right, number 5, Holloway High, tab 3, request for Holloway High renovation for virtual school bid 3707. On Thursday, January 18th, 2024, purchasing and engineering construction received bids for the Holloway High renovation for virtual school project. All bids have been reviewed, and engineering construction recommends Southeast Contractors, Inc. base bid of $811,665. This project will be funded out of Fund 177. So breakdown, you see the renovation bid of $811,665, design fee of $50,000, FF&E $75,000, for a total project cost of $936,665. Recommended motion to approve the renovation of Holloway High School in the amount of $936,665. We received 5 bids, 4 were eligible, and so you have that list sheet as well, and this is the low bid.
Questions or comments?
Ms. Bratton?
Ms. Rosales?
Okay, now that we're talking about Holloway High and renovating the virtual school, so how many classroom space are we adding to the virtual school?
The virtual school technically doesn't have classrooms. They utilize cubicles. This renovation basically gets them out of John Coleman Annex and gets them into a facility that still provides the same number of cubicles that they currently have, but it actually adds a little bit of space for administration and keeps them status quo with conference rooms and computer labs. So basically, it's a lateral move, but it gets us out of John Coleman Annex.
Ms. Sharp?
Yes, and let me remind everybody, we're trying to move them out of that because of the heating and air conditioning, and we're not going to invest the money back in that space.
And lots of other items as well at that space.
Absolutely.
Great.
Anyone else? Any other questions or comments? I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Thank you. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Anyone wishing to abstain? We have approved the renovation of Holloway High School. Number 6.
All right, Laverne High design budget, engineering construction, request to reallocate $2.5 million from Fund 189 Plainview High School to Laverne High School for design services. And the recommended motion is to reallocate $2.5 million in Fund 189 from Plainview High to Laverne High as presented. And so that's money already that has been allocated by the County Commission. It is sitting in 189 unused. We had talked about using it for land, but right now that's the bigger need for Laverne High School to get things going.
Questions or comments?
Ms. Bratton?
Ms. Rosales?
So with Laverne High, I know this is the funding for the architectural fees, but last time we spoke, Dr. Sullivan, you had mentioned that we do have the funding to complete the project, like to carry for build, correct?
Hopefully, it's all going to depend on the county commission crunches numbers. I'm less confident on Friday, from Friday's meeting than I was before. It depends on how the bids come in. So basically, the county commission has about 60 million in borrowing capacity. We have only requested 25 right now.
The 25 for the Batty,
Yes,
and then
so there's 35 million roughly left.
how much was the construction for Smyrna minus the construction fee? Wasn't it around 30 million-ish?
Total came in 38.
38 million.
42.
Around 38.
38, okay.
It's close.
It's very close, yeah.
And, Madam Chairwoman,
Yes,
do we anticipate, because we've been able to get 4 and 5 bids for some of these things, and when that was bid out, we had 2. Do we anticipate having more bids for this, or are we going with the same company we did last time because of doing Smyrna?
We will be putting it out for public bid based on what is being talked about in the surrounding counties. I would expect a lot of interest for this project if we have it ready by the end of the summer.
Awesome.
Great. Anyone else?
So, Ms. Barton, I'm sorry.
Yes, Ms. Rosales?
I have one more question. So now that you told us a little bit of hesitation on your part about what happened on Friday, because there's a change of confidence, what we had before. So when are we going to know about the funding for construction?
So this will go out for architect design review for what, 6 months probably, to be able to get it all out to bid?
Yes.
Probably early fall. And so I'm hopeful the county commission, because Laverne High was one of our high priorities at the very beginning, will find a way. And when you're only, and I hate to say only, when you're looking at $3 million split over 20 years, there should be a way to be able to move things around to find that.
So early fall is when we're anticipating to build for the construction side of it.
For it to bid, and then you have to go ask for funding, so probably January before it starts. So we're not looking at opening before 27 probably, which is terrifying. But
Okay.
it's the best case scenario.
Okay, so are we anticipating and trying to not go to the bond for this particular project?
Glad you asked that. We had planned to go to the bond market in October. We were notified early last week the county commission is going to go in April. And so that is what, of this April,
This year.
which is what really pushed the timeline. Trey worked, I don't know how many hours trying to find an avenue, and we had an avenue to be able to do it, but it was going to increase the cost and make people uncomfortable in trying to move forward, and we didn't want to put our board or the county commission in that risk of doing that, to hit that April timeline. Basically, it would have been, we hire a contractor for a percentage, and we basically add that percentage on top of what the construction cost is, and hope that everything falls through, and that, we weren't confident with that.
Okay.
Anything you want to add to that, Mr. Lee? You can say in a lot better terms than I.
That's basically it. We were trying to get enough of a design that we could engage a contractor through an RFQ process, that they would feel comfortable budget pricing, and within 6 weeks give us a price based on about 20% drawings. It's done. It's not the norm. My big concern in talking with Dr. Sullivan, the designers and I felt confident that we could do our part. The problem is it was going to be something very unique and different, not for the industry, but for us as a county, that we felt the county commissioners were going to be so uncomfortable with it that we were going to spend about 6 or 8 weeks and then get told no. Then after Friday, we were trying to meet there going to the bond in April, which was news.
Anyone else? Ms. Sharp?
I just want to make note to our county commissioners that Arbortown has the ground has broken. Of course, they probably haven't done anything in the last week, but we're looking at 10,000 units there. So we can't
Need a high
dilly-dally
school,
on
too.
this.
Yeah, we need a high school too.
Yeah.
I had the opportunity. We need a high school as well.
We do. We need a high school.
Ms. Brennan?
Yes, sir.
Trey, I got a question about what sounds like cost plus. Have we ever done cost plus before? I know
We
that's a
have not.
budget problem, but
We have not, but it's, I did it when I was on the private side quite a bit. I mean, so I'm comfortable and familiar with it. Anytime you bring something new to the county commission, there's a large learning curve and a lot of explanations that have to go into getting them comfortable with something that's new.
yeah. I mean, I understand that too, but being in the construction industry, sometimes that can be a wheelhouse for saving money. It just really depends. It makes budgeting a lot harder because you're kind of given a prediction versus a bid, and they have to stay underneath that bid. I just wondered if we had ever used it before, if we know any counties that have, and what the results of that was.
Metro does it a little bit. Metro Davidson County, they do it a little bit. They have a arduous process they go through when they do it.
Mm-hmm.
I've gone through that process in the past. It has its pluses and minuses. Where it lends itself best is when you have a situation like this, where you do need to fund something quickly. As long as you have good information going in, it can be a good process because it's cost plus a fee. Mm-hmm. So if your cost comes in under what you think, then the owner saves that money, and the fee is adjusted accordingly. There's a lot more paperwork and a lot more checks and balances on our side for our staff, but it's nothing that I would feel uncomfortable doing. I think it's something we should possibly look at for the future, but not in a 2-week time crunch where we're trying to do something. It would be something that we would want to spend a little bit of time, which we get past a few of these projects, and I can take a deep breath. It's something that I could present, and we could spend, a couple of different meetings looking at and talking about and looking at it as something we might consider in the future.
I was wondering if we could possibly consider doing that on maybe smaller projects first, and just
We
see,
could, yes.
yeah, where that lands.
Anyone else?
Madam Chair,
Yes?
the number that we looked at, we threw out 50 million the other day for Laverne High School to do that, and there's not borrowing capacity for 50 million, so that's why we backed off of that approach.
There are no more questions. I will entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Ms. Sharp, now, Ms. Rosales. You want to second it? Thank you. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. Anyone wishing to abstain? Motion passes. Number 7.
Next, we have South Church Street property, so 814 South Church Street renovation, request to reallocate all remaining funds. And so these are funds that have already been allocated by the county commission. This is just reallocating projects, the first 2 that are already completed. From Fund 189 Rockville Middle School for $1,022,978, and Smyrna Middle, $1,196,170. And then a future Stewart's Creek Middle addition of $329,950 to Church Street property. So just taking those 3 reallocations. 814 Church Street, looking at construction, $1.5 million, A&E fee $93,000. FF&E for $500,000 and a contingency of $250,000 because we don't quite know what the design plans are going to be for that building yet. We just approved architect last meeting for a total of $2,343,000. So motion to approve Fund 189 reallocation for Church Street property as presented.
Questions or comments?
Ms. Bratton,
Mr. Tidwell?
Trey, do you think this will be open in the fall? Any chance?
Slim. I'm thinking more October to December.
but likely this year.
Yes, I think so. If we can get moving, barring any setbacks from the city review process or the state fire marshal's office, it can be ready this year, yes.
Ms. Bratton?
Ms. Rosales?
Dr. Sullivan? For the Church Street, since we're going to be opening an alternative school, and so we were going to have to hire staff for this school, like an administrator, and we
Yes.
don't have the staff right now.
Not right now, we don't. Yeah, it'll be in this next year's budget cycle. We have the option, if, we've talked about it before, if we wanted to use this as a satellite campus for Daniel McKee, you could assign an administrator over there that's already at Daniel McKee, so we have options. With us just getting the architect approved, we want to go in with them and kind of see what our options for programming, then bring that back to the board for funding to determine truly what our needs are.
Okay, so my question goes to that, we're going to have new seats available by the spring of next year. And then we'll hire the new staff, for their permanent staff, for the budget, for the upcoming school year.
Yes. Yeah. Even if we don't,
That's really my question.
even if we don't fill those positions to start the school year, we'll have them in the budget.
Okay, perfect.
Anyone else? I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Anyone wishing to abstain? Motion has been approved. Number 8.
Number 8 is the Roy Waldron renovation, request to reallocate remaining funds from Fund 189 Rockville Elementary, so that project's already completed, $1,485,000, and in the future middle school, $925,769 to Roy Waldron renovation. This is what I was talking about a little while ago, about we had planned to do this out of Fund 141, out of our fund balance, because that future middle school, we know we are going to need that future middle school and hope to be able to use that. But in looking at best ways to not share more money than we have to, this is where this account comes from. The other questions that are going to come is the future middle school. Are middle school students going to be in this building at Roy Waldron? Yes, they will. So we'll have a middle school alternative component and a middle school behavior sped component. So the shared argument shouldn't be there whatsoever. So Roy Waldron Annex, Laverne Primary renovation, construction $2 million, A&E fee $118,000, FF&E $250,000, and then contingency for $150,000, total of $2,518,000. Recommended motions to approve Fund 189 reallocation for Roy Waldron Annex renovation is presented.
I have a question. What are the grade levels that are going to be served here?
K-8 to some degree.
K-8, okay, that's, excuse me.
I would love to
really
not
not
have
K.
K1,
Yeah.
2, I'd much rather it be 2, 3, 4, 8.
Okay, that's what I thought. Anyone else?
Ms. Bratton?
Yes.
I just want to say that I've talked to Dr. Sullivan about this, but I have gotten calls about parents in the SPED community that are concerned about the behavior aspect of it. So I told them about what we're planning to do with Roy Waldron and turn that hopefully into a behavior school, and they really, really are excited. So there are people that are watching this right now. So I just wanted to say that, so.
Thank you. Anyone else? I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Anyone wishing to abstain? Motion is approved. Any other questions? Dr. Sullivan?
Thank you, Board, for having a special called meeting. And just for our public, we had to have a special called meeting because Health and Ed meets tomorrow, with January being a weird month. So we had to have these ready and done today so that we could send to Health and Ed tomorrow, or otherwise we'd be a month further behind.
Any other questions? Ms. Darby?
Move to adjourn.
Ms. Maxwell?
Second.
We are now adjourned. Want a 5-minute